Hey everyone, CGF Hotshot here, and let's talk about the dynamic between Wally West and Barry Allen. Specifically how it started as like a father-son dynamic, but I feel like it really like grew into like something a bit different where it almost feels more brotherly in a sense, I feel. Of course, it's like a big argument on Twitter, people saying, well, Wally's Barry's son, but he's actually like more like his brother, and I may have contributed to that argument saying it's more brotherly now. However, it definitely did start as like a father-son thing. So let's start with that. When Wally first became Kid Flash, he kind of like put, like even before Wally became Kid Flash, because like the president of the Flash fan club, he put the Flash as he knew him, which was Barry Allen, on like a high pedestal. Like this was Wally's hero, and then he met his hero. And he turned out to be pretty fucking cool, at least to Wally, because just like, this man can do no wrong. And then Wally gained superpowers and got so many opportunities to become closer and closer to him, and it was like amazing for him. And then there's Barry, who I feel grow really protective of Wally, like really quickly, because suddenly here is the person who wants to talk to him, like at all times, and like never said that like Barry's input wasn't worthy. Like it was always good to like have Wally around as like to boost his own confidence and also to care for him, because Wally did care for Barry as the Flash and Barry did care for Wally. And I think the big thing was that Wally was the first person that Barry ever revealed his secret identity to, like in the Silver Age. Like before Iris, way before Iris, like Barry didn't tell Iris. Iris found out because Barry was a fucking sleep talker and they lived together. That's how Iris found out, you know? Like that was like Wally and Barry's dynamic, where Barry trusted like this son figure of his so much that he let Wally in on probably like his biggest protected secret. And I feel like that also carries into like later runs. But of course, Barry dies at Crisis on Infinite Earths at the point in Wally's life where he's starting to like harbor resentment for the past, where he's just like, oh, I suffered as a child. And like, you know that thing. And Wally was like, obviously had very unhealthy coping mechanisms towards that. And now he's also like bestowed with, now I have to live up to the thing that I put on a pedestal so much. I have to live up to that man. And that man did it so well, even though he had anxieties about it. And then here's me at the lowest point in my life. Like, this is Wally West. Here's Wally West at the lowest point of his life, like emotionally. And he suddenly has to take up the plate. And he really wants to, but he really doesn't think he'll do well. And I think like Wally's internal relationship with the ghosts of Barry Allen kind of like shapes him like through the early days of his career. The idea of like Barry Allen was like this perfect hero. Like Barry literally left Wally a picture of Barry as a Flash saying, and Wally took it as, this is the picture of what a hero should be. This is who I should be. Instead of Wally thinking that he should be his own Flash, you know? And Wally kind of starts to figure it out, like, subconsciously, because, like, throughout Loebs' run. But I think when subconscious turns into conscious about Wally putting Barry Allen's grave to rest is in The Return of Barry Allen, where Barry Allen seemingly returns. Again, people know about the story, it's here about Thorn. But in this story, Wally West is confronted with the idea that maybe he doesn't have to be the Flash that Barry Allen was, because the guy over here who's pretending to be the Flash that Barry Allen was, like the guy over here, Eobard Thawne, is doing it the wrong way. So instead of doing that, why not be your own guy and break every limit? And that turned Wally into a better Flash and a faster Flash. Definitely faster than he'd ever gone before at the time, and he would become faster than Barry later in his career. And it's also at this point where I think it's important that Jay Garrick steps up to like the plate of like being like Wally's mentor figure and almost everything that Wally needed from a father at that point. where Jay is kind of like the de facto father figure of the Flash family. At least it was like Jay for Wally and Max for Bart. And so we see whenever Wally wants to confide into someone, he'll confide into Linda or he'll confide into Jay. Those are the two people in his life that he confides into. And I think that helped him like gather like a circle of people that he could trust. Like again, Wally was the Flash that like heavily figured out. Like I think Barry like figured it out a little bit, but Wally was the Flash that heavily figured out that I can actually like reform some of my rogues and make sure they don't do bad things again by teaching them the right way to do things instead of putting them in a jail cell. And Wally sees this because he's been talking to the Piper a lot, and they become really, really good friends. I think also another thing that like changes Wally's relationship with Barry is the secret of Barry Allen, where Barry Allen once again reveals his deepest, darkest secret to Wally West. Because at this point, Identity Crisis happened, and another Wally Barry's secrets and the Justice League secrets had leaked out. That secret being, hey, we used to mind wipe like a bunch of our villains. We should probably, and Batman, we mind wiped a lot of people as the Justice League. Like, we should have probably not done that. And Barry's like sitting here, like writing this letter to Wally, just like, also there's something else. So I thought the top was like a person who was like very like big mind powers. Like he had huge control over people's psyches. And like could like make people like almost, I'd say get dizzy, but that's like very small. But like, yeah, between a dizzy and a seizure, you know? Where it's just like he puts people in trances. And Barry was just like, I tried to psychologically make him a good guy by having Zatanna brainwash him, like mystically brainwash him and turn up his conscience. And now he's fried, like mentally. And Wally, I trust you to fix it because I literally trust you with everything. You always make the right decisions when it comes to me. I find that out in the future. Good job, by the way, on being the Flash, Wally. You're really good at it. Because, of course, like, this is the point where Barry's, like, going to the 30th century and he's told by Iris, by the way, Wally does great. So Barry's just like, I'll trust you to fix this because I literally can't and don't want to. Like, that's a very cynical way of putting it. I think it's more that Barry, like, feels heavy regret for what he did to the top, and he knows that Wally will make good on Barry's wishes to correct his own mistake. And Wally's just like, of course I will correct your mistake, Barry. I am literally carrying your legacy. I will literally correct every mistake that you make. But it's also the idea of, Wally having the ability to fix Barry's mistakes also kind of shows that Barry Allen was fallible again. And Wally, for once, isn't trying to fix his own mistakes. He is fixing the mistake of the man he once saw as a paragon. And then Flash Rebirth 2009 happened, Barry Allen came back to life, and he didn't want to talk to anyone. He didn't want to talk to no one. He ran out on his wife, he ran out on his kids, he never even met his kids at this point. He ran out on Bart, he ran out on Jay and Max, and even Hal. Like, he had some conversations with Hal, but he ran out on Hal. And it feels like, in that story, the only person that, like, Barry, like, actively sought out sometimes was Wally. He's just like, I know Wally. I know Wally's... I can trust him. I can trust Wally with my life. Because he is a well-adjusted adult with 2 kids. And he's doing really great at that. And you see this in Rebirth 09. And you see this in The Road to Flashpoint. Where Barry avoids everyone. And then everyone stages an intervention. And it feels like that Wally is like... the only person that I kind of got through to Barry a bit is just like, oh, Barry, I looked up to you so much as a kid, and I still do now in many a way, but please spend more time with us. Like, we just got you back. I want to talk to you, man. And, you know, it was, like, very close, but also kind of distant, because, like, what Barry was at the time in Rebirth 09, like, almost like a distant relative of this family that Wally had built up. Like, because depending on who you ask, the Flash family was built up about by Wally and Jay, mainly, I'd say. Because just like Max Mercury is Jay's friend, Johnny Quick is Jay's friend, Jesse Quick is Johnny Quick's daughter, and Bart Allen was Iris placed Bart upon Wally's responsibility, and Wally was just like, Max, you take him. But okay. So yeah, all of that happens, and then DC Rebirth comes around, and I think DC Rebirth is like where we get to see much more of Wally and Barry's dynamic in a place where Barry is very much a similar man to the one he was in Flash Rebirth 2009 and The Road to Flashpoint. And Wally West is going through it because he lost all of the support systems that he had when he was the main Flash. So we get to DC Rebirth, and Barry Allen very much older brothers Wally, like very much, because whilst he knows Wally can deal with it, he's also just like, and now that I fucked up, Wally, you are the Flash. And Wally's just like, I've always been the Flash, Barry. I'm literally your legacy. So yeah, Barry older brothers Wally like a lot, so much so that he's kind of like lecturing Wally in Flash War. And I know like a bunch of this was like Earbard Thorn stuff, which is really frustrates me about DC Rebirth the Flash by Joshua Williamson, that like many of the mistakes that Barry makes are influenced by Earbard Thorn literally peeking into the back of Barry's psyche, you know, like to the point where Barry can't really like own all of his mistakes, you know, like any of them. At least that's how like I interpret it, which is very, yeah. But you know, this also helped me in the long run as a Wally fan, so you know. But without Wally, again, because like when Wally leaves the book because of Dan DiDio, let's say, Barry starts to isolate himself a lot. He's just like, okay, Wally's gone, Wallace doesn't want to talk to me, and I'm just not going to bother on calling Avery, and I know Bart might be back, but I'm just not going to find him. Iris! Do you want to, just you and me, want to travel the world for a bit whilst I figure out why I'm losing all my speed? Like, Barry very much, like, isolated himself from the people that he loved because Wally isn't there to bring Barry out of his shadow. Like, Barry outside of himself. Because, like, when Wally was back there, Barry started to incorporate Ace West more into his lifestyle as the Flash. He started to like take notice of Avery Ho, and even like Wally coming back kind of like sparks Barry's interest of maybe I should have someone help me around Central City. Ooh, August just got superpowers. He's calling himself the Flash's partner. I could work with that. Whereas I feel like if Wally didn't come back, I don't think Barry would have been like as open with August. I'm at the point now, like, by the time that 1 Minute War came around and Wally was the main Flash again and Barry had literally just been living the life and whatever, we see Barry lose Iris and he's just like, I need to isolate myself in my room. And Wally's over here being, because like at this point everyone in the Flash family knows that's just like the only person that can ever talk to Barry Allen and maybe get something out of him is Wally West. Wally, you do it. And Wally's just like, yeah, I know. Just like, so they bond, and it feels more brotherly in 1 Minute War than anything. It doesn't feel like a kid talking to his dad. It feels like Barry is talking to his more successful and happier younger brother that Barry wishes he could be. And then Wally's just like, hey, you still got me. Don't fucking worry. And then Wally dies. And we're going to circle this back to Night Terrors, because I think the thing is, in many ways, Barry internally sees Wally as a son still. Like, in a few ways. And I think this is also, like, reinforced by everyone else in Barry's life. So, Iris. Because, like, of course, Wally calls Iris Aunt Iris. She's like, yeah, it's Aunt Iris. But Wally calls Barry more often than he calls him Uncle Barry. And Night Terrors The Flash issue 2 just came out. And in Night Terrors The Flash issue 2, once again, Wally is the person who snaps Barry out of his dream, and this dream is of Barry literally, like, seeing Wally West, seeing a kid version of Wally West go through all of these fucking traumas, and Wally saying, and Barry saying, I need to fix it all, oh no, I have become error. And then adult Wally snaps Wally out of that dream, and Wally's just like, yeah, don't worry, I ain't going nowhere. By the way, I'm still faster than you, old man, and I think we need to stop the thing in Night Terrors. But yeah, like, it's very, very much obvious that, like, Barry sees Wally, like, even Kid Wally, as a son figure, because, like, we see the Tornado Twins in Flash Race Against Time, and the Tornado Twins are very jealous of Wally because he was the kid who got to spend his entire life with Barry Allen. Like, Barry's entire career as a superhero with Barry Allen. Just like, you got the opportunities we didn't, Wally. You got to spend time with our dad. We didn't. And we also see that Wally is at the point where he doesn't need Barry as a father, because everything he'd need out of a father at this point, he can go to Jay Garrick for. So much so that Wally's kids call Jay Grandpa or Pop or Papa. And they call Jay Grandpa or Poppy, and they call Barry Uncle Barry. Because from Wally's kid's point of view, it's just like, yeah, Uncle Barry, he's my dad's older brother, kind of. Where Barry, like, sees Wally as the kid who did him right. And Wally sees himself as the guy who had to work to the point where he kind of broke his mentor. And Wally's just, like, very reassuring Barry, just like, no. I did all of this for you. You're doing great. And yeah, like, that's my video on Wally and Barry's dynamic shift. At the end of the day, Wally sees Barry. I think that's, like, in the front, Wally and Barry see each other as brothers. Like, in the back, Barry still sees Wally as this fucking kid that he used to take care of when he was growing up. This is the point where this video is going to go to. There we go. All right. Leave down in the comments below which video you want me to tackle next, and I shall speak to you all next time. Peace out.